Why are we spending billions on a war halfway across the world, while our own citizens are suffering from homelessness, inflation, and the devastation of a hurricane? Thousands of Americans are grappling with the devastating aftermath of natural disasters like Hurricane Milton. Entire communities in Florida have been wiped out, families left homeless, and many are struggling without essential services. But in the midst of this crisis, one question lingers. Why is the U.S. government prioritizing foreign aid over our own domestic needs? The U.S. has committed billions of dollars in aid to foreign countries, most recently to Ukraine and Israel. This year alone, the military aid to Israel has reached a record-breaking $25.9 billion. It's part of a broader strategy to ensure the security of an ally in a volatile region, but at what cost? Add to that the billions already being sent to Ukraine, another conflict zone. Between January 24, 2022 and June 30, 2024, the United States has provided around $114 billion of aid to the war effort in Ukraine. Yes, $114 billion. The allocation of American tax dollars has long been a contentious issue, with both Republican and Democratic administrations facing criticism for their spending priorities. Right here at home, the homelessness crisis is getting worse. People are being priced out of their homes. Wages aren't keeping up with inflation, and our social safety nets are stretched thin. Yet, as American cities face rising homelessness, our tax dollars are flowing to war zones in countries like Israel and Ukraine. The U.S. government justifies this spending as necessary to maintain global security and to protect key allies. But it's worth asking, at what cost to American citizens? Why are we sending our hard-earned tax dollars overseas when we have people in our own country who are homeless, hungry, and desperate for help? It's like we're being asked to carry the burden of the world, while our own are left behind. Homelessness in America is at a crisis point, with numbers that reveal just how deeply this issue affects our communities and our future. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, on a single night in 2023, around 2 million people across the country experience homelessness. That's a 15% increase from the previous year, marking one of the sharpest rises in recent years. As billions of dollars flow to foreign wars and international conflicts, many Americans question why these funds are not being invested in pressing domestic concerns like homelessness, mental health, and affordable housing. One of the most concerning aspects of America's homelessness crisis is the sheer number of individuals who are unsheltered. The 2023 Annual Homeless Assessment Report, HAR, revealed that nearly 60% of homeless individuals live on the streets, in cars, or in places unfit for human habitation. This reality exposes them to harsh weather, dangerous conditions, and a heightened risk of health complications. These individuals are often overlooked, left to endure a life of constant vulnerability, while federal resources are allocated to overseas conflicts that may not directly benefit American citizens. And the number of chronically homeless individuals, those enduring homelessness for years, has reached unprecedented levels. In 2023, over 440,000 people in the U.S. were estimated to be chronically homeless, making up nearly 22% of the total homeless population. These individuals are not just in need of temporary shelter. They require ongoing support to break the cycle of homelessness. Families with children are also bearing the brunt of this escalating crisis. In January 2023 alone, an estimated 186,100 children experienced homelessness, marking a 16% increase from 2022. This figure represents a 77% surge since 2006 and underscores how economic hardship disproportionately affects families, especially those of color. These children face disrupted education, limited access to health care, and emotional distress, which can impact their development and future prospects. Rather than investing in war zones, America could prioritize these vulnerable children by expanding housing assistance, child welfare services, and educational support programs. Each number in these reports represents a human life, a person facing challenges many of us can scarcely imagine. As homelessness rises, but why is our government prioritizing foreign aid over our own domestic needs? Every dollar sent overseas adds to the debt, increases the burden on taxpayers, and leaves less funding for schools, healthcare, and disaster relief here at home. Is this sustainable? This isn't a call to ignore global issues, but shouldn't we start by helping our own? Rebuilding our communities, ensuring every American has access to basic services, and protecting those who are most vulnerable. These should be our top priorities. The United States is facing a significant economic challenge as the national debt has surged to approximately $35.46 trillion in 2024. This escalating debt, coupled with rising inflation, has created a financial strain on many American households. The cost of basic necessities has skyrocketed, and rents are increasing rapidly, making it difficult for many to afford a stable living situation. Despite these pressing domestic issues, the U.S. government continues to allocate substantial funds to foreign conflicts. This prioritization of international war zones over domestic welfare has left many Americans feeling neglected. The financial resources that could be used to address the rising cost of living and provide relief to struggling families are instead being spent abroad. As a result, many Americans are at risk of becoming homeless. The gap between income and monthly expenses is widening, leaving families unable to cover their basic needs. This situation underscores the urgent need for the government to reassess its spending priorities and focus on addressing the economic challenges faced by its citizens. One major concern among citizens is the government's allocation of taxpayer funds. Many feel that, instead of addressing the pressing economic needs at home, these funds are being diverted to support military efforts abroad. This sense of misallocation intensifies frustrations, as citizens see their tax dollars funding foreign ventures while their financial situations deteriorate on the home front. The disconnect between national priorities and the struggles of the average American family underscores a broader concern about government accountability and responsiveness. The combination of stagnant wages and rising costs has left many American households in a precarious situation. Basic necessities, from groceries to healthcare, have become less affordable as wages fail to keep pace with inflation. For many, housing costs have become the breaking point. Rent has increased sharply in recent years, and with incomes failing to cover monthly expenses, the risk of homelessness is no longer an abstract threat, but a looming reality. According to recent studies, this housing crisis has left a significant portion of the population one paycheck away from losing their homes. As Americans, it's time we ask ourselves, where should our tax dollars be spent? Are we willing to invest billions in foreign conflicts while our own communities face pressing challenges like homelessness? Or should we focus on rebuilding our nation first? Let's demand more from our leaders. Both the Republican and Democratic parties have a long history of engaging in foreign conflicts that have required substantial financial and human investments, often at the expense of addressing pressing domestic needs. Over the past few decades, America's involvement in international conflicts has resulted in trillions of dollars spent on war efforts, raising important questions about the priorities of U.S. leadership and the utilization of taxpayer funds. In the early 2000s, Republican President George W. Bush made the decision to initiate the war in Afghanistan, a conflict that ultimately spanned 20 years and became one of the longest in U.S. history. The war, intended to dismantle terrorist networks and promote stability in the region, eventually cost American taxpayers an estimated $3 trillion. Yet, after 2 decades of military and financial investment, the United States withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021 without achieving long-term stability or concrete success. The subsequent rapid takeover by the Taliban raised serious concerns about the effectiveness of the mission and the price paid by American soldiers, Afghan citizens, and U.S. taxpayers. More recently, under the Biden administration, the United States has begun financially supporting another international conflict, the Russia-Ukraine war. This war, while not involving U.S. troops directly, has prompted the Biden administration and Congress to approve billions in aid packages for Ukraine. This assistance includes military equipment, humanitarian aid, and economic support for Ukraine's government. The goal of countering Russian aggression aligns with the Democratic Party's stance on supporting global democracy and opposing authoritarian regimes. However, some Americans question the continued use of taxpayer dollars to fund a foreign conflict, while there are significant issues within the United States that require attention, such as infrastructure, healthcare, and education. The pattern of American intervention abroad has led to concerns that yet another foreign conflict could become a focus for U.S. spending. Recent tensions in the Middle East, particularly surrounding Israel, have intensified. Israel is a long-standing ally of the United States, and in times of conflict, it has often received significant U.S. support in both diplomatic and military forms. If hostilities escalate, there is potential for the U.S. to invest even further in this region. While this alliance reflects a commitment to supporting an ally, it may also lead to more expenditures abroad that do not directly address the needs of American citizens. The impact of foreign wars on inflation in the United States. Foreign wars, while often justified as necessary for national security or humanitarian purposes, have far-reaching consequences on the domestic economy. One of the most profound effects of foreign conflicts is their impact on inflation within the United States. As the U.S. government allocates billions of taxpayer dollars to fund wars and support foreign allies, domestic prices are impacted in ways that affect everyday Americans. Understanding the connection between international conflicts and inflation reveals the hidden costs of foreign wars, highlighting why these engagements can significantly contribute to rising prices at home. The Afghanistan War, which spanned 2 decades and cost the United States approximately $3 trillion, is a prime example of how prolonged military engagements can lead to inflationary pressures. When the government spends trillions on foreign wars, it typically needs to raise funds through a combination of increased borrowing and additional currency circulation. By increasing the money supply to finance military operations, the U.S. government essentially creates more money in circulation, which can dilute the currency's value and lead to inflation. As the government's debt grows, it may also need to raise interest rates to attract more lenders, further contributing to inflationary pressures within the economy. More recently, the Russia-Ukraine conflict has exemplified how foreign wars can strain the global supply chain, leading to increased prices at home. The United States, under the Biden administration, has committed billions of dollars to support Ukraine. This not only involves direct monetary aid, but also military supplies, which further increases government spending. At the same time, the conflict has disrupted key global supplies, most notably oil and gas, of which Russia is a major producer. With sanctions on Russian energy exports, global oil prices have surged, and American consumers have felt this directly at the gas pump. Rising oil prices have a cascading effect on nearly every sector of the economy, from transportation to agriculture, leading to higher prices on a wide range of goods and services. The involvement in these foreign conflicts also diverts resources that could otherwise help stabilize the domestic economy. For instance, rather than allocating funds to address supply chain bottlenecks at home or provide subsidies to struggling industries, the government diverts billions abroad. This weakens its ability to respond to inflationary pressures. Funds directed to support foreign wars could instead be used to invest in domestic infrastructure, enhance manufacturing capacity, or bolster critical resources that would ease supply chain constraints. Without these investments, domestic production lags, demand outweighs supply, and prices rise, further exacerbating inflation. The potential for a new conflict in the Middle East, given rising tensions in Israel, also raises concerns about the future of inflation in the United States. Historically, American involvement in Middle Eastern conflicts has often impacted oil prices due to the region's crucial role in global energy production. Should the U.S. become further involved, either directly or through military support to allies, oil prices could once again climb. This would not only increase transportation and production costs across the board, but would also affect American families, who would see even higher prices for everyday essentials, from groceries to utilities. In conclusion, foreign wars play a significant role in fueling inflation within the United States. Whether through increased government spending, disruptions to global supply chains, or diverted domestic resources, These conflicts contribute to rising prices that directly impact American consumers. As the U.S. continues to engage in foreign wars, understanding and addressing the hidden inflationary consequences is essential for minimizing the impact on Americans' financial well-being. Reducing foreign engagements and prioritizing domestic needs may offer a path forward that helps protect the American economy from the long-term inflationary effects of international conflicts.